हरि ओम। Bhagavad Gita, the shlokas which are there, any one of them, if it hits the bull's eye, then it can itself turn into a life-changing experience. The beauty of this divine scripture is any shloka can be a good beginning for a beginner, can be the ultimate shloka for the ultimate achiever. The ocean of Margadarshanam is kept so wide open by Bhagavad Gita that the one who wants to take the water from it, it all depends upon what is the size of your cusp. The Anjali, wider the ability to absorb the philosophical aspect of shloka, more and more it appeals. The intellect or the buddhi has different capacities depending upon how much sattva guna bharit the buddhi is. The shloka appeals to that extent. To some, it is a dumb repetition of Sanskrit words. To some, these are illuminating jewels of knowledge, throwing their light into the vast arena of knowledge. So looking at this 20 and 21st shloka alone by itself could be an ultimate guiding light for all not so noble souls like us. Each word is precisely organized. Each word is precisely articulated. Karmannevahi, the first two words, karmanni, karmana, evahi. These, even the words like ev and he has a gudha garvitartha. Same word comes in Ishavasyopanishad. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishetchatagam samaha. Kurvanneveha karmani. Now here the word is karmana evahi. He is translated as verily, invariably, in all probabilities, not 100%, but almost to the 100% ratio. That means majority of the majority shall have karma as the only means of some siddhim. When it says verily or majority of majority, does it exclude any minority, microscopic minority? Yes. Who is this microscopic minority? Those who have gone beyond the gunas or beyond the karmas. Since the karma cannot happen unless you are imbued with the trigunas, those who are trigunatit, for them the karma still happens, but its purpose for samsiddhi is over because they are samsiddha. In fact, in the next shloka, Bhagavan himself is going to say that I have nothing to do with the karma. Why should I be doing the karma? I am ever perfect. Still I do the karma, but my karma is called Daivi karma or Leela. And then who are those who are Trigunatita and who do not come into this bracket of Karmane evahi, Karmana evahi? Either the one who has become Jivana Mukta, he is alive and he has gone beyond the gunas, Jivana Mukta, but still living because of Prarabdha Vashat. Or he could be the one who has casted off his body once for all and for the last time. The Videha Mukta. Who else? The third category is the one who doesn't have any reason to be born, but because of the compassion that the divine has, the divine decides to descend amongst us. This descendants avataritatva is called avatar. Now, how is it that the avatar, when he comes down to do the karma, since he is Trigunatita, he has no prarabdha left, then how does he come? How did Bhagavan Vasudeva had this kartavyam of a sarathi? Because he had no prarabdha. We must ask this question, that why the hell Bhagavan had to come and lead Arjuna into this war when he himself had no prarabdha left? And the answer is Rama Krishna Dika Sharira, that means the bodies of Rama and Krishna, the avataras, are nothing else but the divinity descending down, asking the Maya, because Maya is subservient to the Brahman. So asking the Maya to borrow the prarabdha and then take the birth. It is borrowed prarabdha, not acquired prarabdha. This borrowed prarabdha is borrowed simply because yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. I have a function to perform, abhyuthana. That is the reason why I have to come, Arjuna, and that is how the divine come into this picture. Leaving this Jivana Mukta, Videha Mukta, and the Avatar, who are anyway microscopic minority, all others, verily, that is the meaning of only one single alphabet called He. What about then everybody? Karmana eva. Ishavasya Upanishad says, na anyatote sthi. There is no alternate for you. That means Gita Mata has very clearly told us one thing, that even if you are struggling with your life, even if you are utilizing a useless English phrase called life sucks, nothing doing, you shall continue to do the work assigned to you. Mind well, the work is assigned, not preferred. कभी किसी को मुकम्मल जहां नहीं मिलता. No one gets what they desire, because if you don't get what you desire, you get what is destined for you. You became a father, a husband, a friend, a manager, a doctor, all because of Purva Niyat Prarabdha Karma. And Gurudev has time and again in many commentaries of many shlokas has used the word vasana virechana, purgation of vasanas, exhaustion of vasanas. These are Gurudeva's word. What is the meaning? The meaning is you had vasanas which got converted into prarabdham, because of which you are where you are in whichever body you are. So jati, ayu, and bhog. In which species will be born? How long you will live? And what will you do upabhog of is predetermined at the time of birth by virtue of prarabdha, which is nothing else but a form of vasana culminating into fructification for the current birth. Once this is there, we must understand when Gurudeva says that the birth is for exhaustion of vasanas, there is a comma there. And the comma, what it says is, the birth is for exhaustion of vasanas, comma, and not to create new vasanas. That is called adhyavrita, implied. It implies that I am here as a father, husband, manager, brother, friend, for exhausting my vasanas, but I shall not do anything that will create again. It will make me father, husband, friend, etc. न भोगो न योगो न वावाजिराजो न कांता मुखे नैव वित्तेषु चित्तम् मनश्चेन लग्नन् गुरोरङ्घ्रि पद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं. What is Acharya saying in this Guru Ashtakam? न भोगो न योगो न वावाजिराजो न कांता मुखे नैव वित्तेषु चित्तम. All these are for the past vasana exhaustion. So if you get entangled in it, what will happen? You will continue the vicious cycle of vasanas exhaustion, again vasana, and then there is no end. In order to end this particular vicious cycle of the vasanas that we have accumulated, the karman that you do is the only way of exhausting the vasanas. So on one hand, you clear the backlog, and on the other hand, please do not fail in new subjects. And Gita Mata is saying emphatically, this is the only way. You may get lots of thoughts in your mind. Thoughts like, life is so boring, I feel like leaving it and running to Himalayas like Gurudeva. Sometimes you feel, I'm so bored, I can't tell you, ye shadi karke fas gaya. This marriage has really made it miserable. The family life is miserable. The children are not listening to me. The wife is on her own terms. This, that. The friends are not to be trusted. There's nothing trustworthy in this world. Sir, there is no point in cribbing about what is happening to you, because it is all happenings by your own vasanas and prarabdha. Better accept smilingly whatever comes. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam. None of the sorrows should create any kind of flutter in the inner tranquility. That is because in the morning class of Friday, it sounds extremely nice to hear about all this karma and karma kaushalyam. The problem comes moment the class is over and the internet is switched off. Within next 5 minutes, there is a commotion in the mind because the tea hasn't come, because the child is making some noise, because there is a worry and anxiety about the money that I need, because blah, blah, blah. An endless story, and we get swept by the happenings around, and the Gita goes somewhere long, somewhere at a far away in the corner, and she stays there, far away from our daily activities. The sadhana is not going into Himalayas and closing the eyes and being there. It is too difficult, sir. We can't even do for a day. Forget about going in Himalayas. Don't ever think of it. It requires another aptitude of a different level. We are not able to even discipline ourselves inside our home. So before doing karma, we need to understand, why am I doing what I am doing? A constant dindima has to be on the back of the mind that this karma of mine is because of the prarabdha. Prarabdha put me in the role of a father. Because I am a father and because my prarabdha is not good, my child is kicking me. Yet I have done my duty, what I'm supposed to do. Even though he kicks, I should not be kicking my fortune or my luck, but accept it, and accept only not out of incompetency. Gurudev has very clearly stated that not the stupid man's non-violence, but the person who wants to really make combat of the place. If the child happens to do something wrong, as a duty of father, you do not allow it. This may lead to a lot of commotion, even to the extent of the child leaving the house. Let him leave the house. Stand by the truth. Not succumbing to the pressures. Succumbing to the pressures is not acceptance of prarabdha. Prarabdha creates the paristhiti. The paristhiti compels you to respond. Do not react, respond. That is why it is called responsibility, not reactability. Response would mean, if something has happened, what is righteous in the eyes of dharma, what is shreyas and not preyas, and act accordingly. My means do not allow me to buy a mobile phone for my child, but the child is insisting upon it. He needs to be made understand the issue, how the father cannot afford it, one, how at this age it cannot be done, two, beyond that, if we succumb to the pressure, we would have spoiled the child's future, as well as we would have failed our duty. The karma is not done with the kaushalyam. Just revisit your younger days. Our parents did not give us many things, and yet we feel that it was the best upbringing that we had. Today's parents give everything that the child asks for, sometimes even before asking. And look at what the situation is. That is because siding with prayas instead of shreyas always creates a problem. And why the problem comes? The root of the problems lies in this fact, that the karma is not done in the manner that is prescribed and proscribed by Bhagavad Gita. In other words, while doing our own karma, we are alone. The wife, the child, the friend, the money, the wealth, everything is stupidity and an external accessory. गुरु की करनी गुरु जाएगा, चेले की करनी चेला, उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला, जग दर्शन का मेला. Kabir Maharaj says, think of yourself, be selfish in adhyatma, be non-selfish in vyavahara. We are exactly opposite. We are selfish in vyavahara and non-selfish in adhyatma. How non-selfish in adhyatma? Adhyatma moment we read, we speak a lot, but as far as implementation is concerned, that is others' job. Gurudeva was so great that he did blah, blah, blah. Gurudeva was so great that he did this. The question is, what about me? We do Ganapati Atharva Shirsham. Tvamev kevalam dhartasi, tvamev kevalam hartasi, tvam sakshat khalvidam brahmasi. The Ganpati came out while doing Atharva Shirsha and said, Dr. Jadhav, very nice, you are talking about me. What about you? I am kevalam hartasi. I know that. You did not tell me again. You are saying it to me, not to tell me, but to tell you that you should be like that. That is where the anukaranam comes into the picture. So every karma goes by what law? Gurudeva has given in simple words. It is nature's law that every living creature finds itself in the most conducive outer world condition. That itself means whatever condition I have is conducive enough. Do not blame. Sanskrit nahi aati. That is not the blame to be put. Somehow I am not inclined to read Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad. That is not the condition. God has given you eyes, buddhi. If the same buddhi works so well in engineering examination and medical examination, then sir, why it is not working in Bhagavad Gita? Because by reading Bhagavad Gita, nobody pays me 100 dirhams. But by studying engineering, I can be sure of making money. It is not the question of buddhi. To be humble in this world as Lord's servant, does it require any education? Rather, after education, there is less chance. The bhava is a free affair. It doesn't cost anything to be nice to people, to help others, to think about Lord, to keep ourselves in limits and control, sanyatendriyata. It doesn't require any education. Rather, education is a big obstacle. As rightly said by Somerset Maugham in one of his quotes, I never allowed education to come in the way of my knowledge. Because the secular education creates and hypes the ego. The religious education has nothing to do with the secularity and secular education. It may enable you to exhibit the prowess of the intellect, but that doesn't mean whichever intellect you have been given, in whatever intellect you are, you can still go ahead and perform the karma in the manner Bhagavad Gita tells us. So karman evahi, it is established that there is no other way other than doing the karma or acting. What kind of acting? Already assigned by the person sitting with the grand notebook in his hand, Lord Ganesha, the one who is Maladhar Asthitos Nityam. He writes, what did you do last birth? Sir, I did a little bit of a chori here and there. All right, the Ganesha says, next time when you are born as a human being, you will be losing some money. So when we lose some money, in spite of our best effort, we crib, oh my God, I lost my money. And what I should be saying actually, I lost money because I must have deprived somebody of the money in my past birth. Of course, this is to be said after you have performed maximum of your efforts. In such a manner, once the karman is done, to exhaust the past vasanas and not to create the new vasanas. How do you create the new vasanas? Phalam. If phala sannyasa vritti is not there, then the vicious cycle is going to continue. You became father because of your past desire, so you have children. Okay, done. Now what do you want? I don't want anything. I just want to look after the children in the best possible manner and educate them and make them young, good adults. That's all. No, but I want my son to be the first in the university and then join Harvard so that I can talk to 10 more people that how brilliant boy is born to me and it is because I gave the birth, he is brilliant, etc. Sir, you went into the phalam. What will happen? Now you will have to again come back to see that your child goes to Harvard. One more birth, one or one, maybe many. You already had ample number of thorns in your feet. You came in this birth to remove those thorns, and actually what you did, you removed one and actually planted another 10. So what will happen? Again, you will have to sit to remove the thorns. And we have been removing our thorns for umpteen number of births, sir. When it is going to end? And more so when somebody came to tell you the tricks of removing the thorns in the form of Gurudeva, still we do not understand. How blind we are. Chal buliya, chal jethe sare anne. Bulle Shah says, oh buliya, get out of this place. अकल के मदरसे से उठ, दिल के मदकशे में जा. Get out of this world, secular world, and go and enter into the heart. What will happen if this way the karman is performed, the way Janaka performed it, Ashwapati performed it? Gurudeva has given reference of Ashwapati from Chandogya Upanishad. Madhusudan Saraswati gives the reference of Ajata Shatru. There was a king called Ajata Shatru, the son of Bimbisar of Magadha. This was the period which is called as Sola Mahajanapadas. His father Bimbisara was an atrocious person, a cruel person. Mind well, Bimbisara is different than Bindusara. Bindusara is Ashoka's father. Bimbisara is Magadha. His son Ajatashatru, who was a contemporary of Gautam Buddha. He was a king who was influenced by Gautam Buddha and continued to be the royal, continued with his Kshatriya royal duties, and yet he was the best performer of the karma. So what happens after performing the karma in the best possible way? You become samsiddha. Sam means samyakena siddhate. What is siddhi? Siddhi means the buddhi or the dhi, when it starts blossoming from an ordinary level. We are in the ordinary buddhi. Even the Harvard educated, whatever you call him, the topper of IIT, they are in the ordinary buddhi level. Although it indicates only one thing, that this dhi has a capacity to grow. Why? It has shown its shining by topping a particular institute. But then we stop at that point because for secular life that is enough. But for religious life, like a yogi, he takes this buddhi and starts taking it forward for its vikas or the blossoming. Such blossoming, when it reaches its ultimate pinnacle of Rutambara level, or the highest possible proliferation of the buddhi that can take place, that the place where there is complete ignorance of buddhi, complete enlightenment of buddhi, that level is saha dhihi samyakena sahadhihi. That buddhi which has really now reached at a level where it actually should be is called samsiddhi. And such siddhi, such dhi is capable of understanding everything that is happening in the world, chara as well as achara. That becomes a miracle for a common man, so it is called as siddhi. We call a person who has got powers, occult powers, is called siddhi. But the word siddhi, what it means is the maximum blossoming of the intellect to its highest capacity, so that everything in this world becomes known. That is also called Jnana Vikas. To whom this happened? Janaka, it happened. That is the reason why when Ashtavakra Maharaj came, Janaka did not take time to understand what Ashtavakra Maharaj was talking. Because what Ashtavakra Gita states, Ashtavakra Maharaj told, is meant for sadhana chatushta sampanna. This sadhana chatushta sampannata was obtained by Janaka through karma. This is where our hope lies. We are going to be sadhana chatushta sampanna not by the stupid idea of retirement and living at the age of 65 to become sadhana chatushta sampanna. These are all illusory, imaginary, stupid ideas. Sadhana chatushta sampannata can be obtained right here by performing the karma with kaushalya, viveka. The first of the sadhana chatushtata. What is viveka? Discrimination between atma and anatma, shuchi, ashuchi, is viveka, discriminating power of the intellect. Do we use it on day-to-day life through karma? We don't. But is it not the ground where it is to be used? It is. For example, I'm working in my office. What should be the vivekam? The vivekam is, this is the work, a karya given to me because of my destiny, and I'm supposed to perform it to its fullest extent. And this karyam has nothing to do with me. It has come to me as per my destiny, and I'm supposed to do it. I shall do it in perfect, complete manner, irrespective of whether the work is appreciated, whether it is rewarded, whether there is remuneration or not. If we keep this thought in mind, we have already started mastering viveka. Vairagyam. In the day-to-day life, while performing karma, I feel like buying a new model of iPhone. And I go and buy it. What happened? The viveka is drawn into the sea, as well as vairagyam has been tossed around. Right there, if we see that it is an instrument meant for listening and talking, required in today's world for your own work, so you must have it. Other than this, the instrument has got no value. So model X or X1 or X2 does not make any sense to me. A car is supposed to take me from point A to B, and that is the function of the car, which in today's day is required to reach the work and other functioning. So I must buy it, but it need not have a tri-star of a Mercedes or an emblem of a Ferrari. Once we think that I should have it, that means viveka is gone, vairagyam is gone far away. The shama, the shataka. Every Friday morning, even after when the satsang is over, Shravana Bhavan keeps calling us. The dosa keeps calling us. And then we fall prey to it. If we cannot avoid the temptation of the tongue, we are talking of shamadama, of yoga, which is the high, very high attainment. Such a flimsy, flickering mind cannot be the mind of a yogi or a sadhaka. So, samsiddhi is an achievement of the one who has completely mastered the art of the karma, but the karma alone is the way to master that art. So while doing karma, we have to isolate ourselves from the karma, look at the work or the karma or the karya that we are doing, and keep the entire vairagya, viveka, shamadama, shataka, and mumukshatvam on the back end, and then perform the function. To do the such kind of functioning, what is the prime requisite? You should be absolutely calm, because a calm person can isolate himself from the incidents, not a person who is already involved in the incidents. Our main problem is everything that happens in our life, we are so much blown into the incidents that we can't isolate ourselves. Let's take an example. Somebody comes and calls you, how stupid you are. What happens in the mind? Instead of isolating ourselves and saying that this man is saying me stupid, anyway, I am not stupid or I'm stupid, I know. What is the reason why he has said it? He could have used another word, but he has used it because I made a mistake. And if I made a mistake, I should focus on correcting my mistake rather than listening to what he has said. But instead of all this analysis and isolation of yourself from the incidents, we plunge into the incidents so fast that we immediately say, how the hell did you say this to me? This is because of inability of us to remain calm. And to remain calm, you require sadhana of thoughts, mananam on what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. That is why, since karmana evahi, that is the only resort for me for some siddhim like Janaka and others, I have to stick to my functioning. The word loka sangraham eva api has been discussed at length by many bhashyakaras. Bhagavad Gita sometimes spins out some words which are in Sanskrit, but the Lakshanartha baffles many highly intelligent souls. If you look at the Gita Rahasya of Lokmanya Bala Gangadhara Tilak, in his Grantham, he has given Loka Sangraham a different meaning. Apparently, our knowledge of Loka Sangraham is, Loka means Jana, Sangraham means collect the people. But what is the meaning given by Gurudeva? Protection of the masses. Loka Samgraham. Protection of masses. Why protection of masses as the word here Gurudeva has taken? Because it is in reference with Arjuna. What about me? Whom am I going to protect? Forget about masses. Who are the people whom I can protect? Sir, the protection of masses was used in case of Arjuna in the form of not Arjuna as a person, but Arjuna as the king. So the protection of masses was the functionality of the role called king ascribed to Arjuna. So what is the meaning? I must know what is my role. This role is called Varna. Madhusudan Saraswati Maharaj deals little in depth on this particular word. He has given reference to Puranas also. He has given reference to even Dharma Samhitas. When he is talking about this Varna, what it means is the 4 ashramas, as Madhusudan Saraswati says, the 4 ashramas are there for Brahmin. For others, there are 3 ashramas. What does it mean? It means Brahmacharya ashram, Grahasthashram, Vanaprasthashram, and Sannyas ashram is Brahmana. But for a Kshatriya and Vaishya, other Dvijas, Brahmacharya ashram, Grahasthashram, and Vanaprasthashram. Apparently, this baffles us because there are so many Kshatriyas who became sannyasi. What it means is, as a part of the karma, the Varna should realize what is his role. Varna is role. It has nothing to do with surname, sir. Gurudeva time and again says, just because you are born in the Brahmin caste, you don't deserve to be a Brahmin. You can be a Shudra. Just because you're born as a Shudra doesn't mean you're a Shudra. You can be Brahmin. Tukaram Maharaj was born in a Shudra, but Tukaram Maharaj was purest of the Brahmin. Narendranath Swami Vivekananda was born in the Kayastha caste. He was not a Brahmin, but he was Brahmin of Brahmins. Dashagranthi Brahman also will not be anybody in front of him. What it means is find out the role that you have. What is the role of Bhumika? What is the role that is ascribed to you by virtue of where you are? That role will have the responsibilities. So Loka Sangraha meanings roles and responsibilities based on the Swabhava and Swadharma has to be performed while doing the karma. What are the meaning? Other logical meanings. Do not do any karma which is not yours. I'll give you a small example. I worked in government offices. The places are full of corruption. Now, naturally, you get tempted to make money. You are young and you are so-called a civil service officer and whatnot. All those birudavalis there. During these periods, there are some people who do corruption and they're very happy. They don't even repent about it. Why, sir? Because tamoguna and tamogunatmak activity, they match each other. A serial killer is very, very rarely repentant about what he's doing because tamoguna and tamogunatmaka karya karma is aligned with each other. Now imagine by mistake, a good man, a sattva-guni man, tries to steal something. He will curse himself so many times, he will not be able to sleep. He will toss in his bed. Even for what? You must have seen in the trains, by mistake, in case you are traveling, even with the ticket of the railway, when the ticket checker comes, we get scared. Oh my God, I hope I can't retrieve my ticket. Why so? Because, sir, you are endowed with sattva guna. You don't want to travel without ticket. See, even the thought that if he thinks that I am traveling without ticket makes so much of anxiety in me, which means a sattva-guni person should not be doing anything which is rajoguni or tamoguni. Similarly, a rajoguni cannot be doing something too much sattva-guni unless he develops the sattva-guna. This has bearing on the role with which you perform a function or the karma. So when you are doing a karma, I am a chartered accountant. A chartered accountant's job is entirely related to accounting and other fields, related finance, etc. fields. He decided to become a manufacturer. Unless he is endowed with the ability to become a manufacturer, he should not be venturing. Otherwise, jeno kam teno thai, bija kare so gota khai. Similarly, in my role, I have been given a role. I am a middle class person. Why should I think of higher class things in my mind? I am not able to buy a bicycle, but it's good to have a Ferrari. It is a stupid way. What has happened? Then the karma that you are doing is you are doing beyond the role ascribed to you. Living within the means also is a connotation of the same philosophy. So Loka Sangraha means you will perform your karma in the manner that you are supposed to perform one. And when anybody performs the karma in the manner that is supposed to be performed, there is definitely an influence that happens on the surroundings. Why do we go to Tirtha Kshetra? Go to Siddhbari, you feel charged, good. You sit there near Gurudeva's Samadhi and you feel good, you feel noble, you feel high. Why, sir? He's not there anymore. That is because of the influence that is left over there. In the modern technical language, the vibes are still there. The urja of a neatly performed karma percolates around. And when it percolates around, it influences the person next to you. So a role performed as a good father influences the children immediately because they're the immediate people. It is negatively also it happens. Howsoever the person may come and talk sweetly in Bhagavad Gita class, including the one who is speaking, when it comes to the relationship with wife, the immediate wife, does your wife respect you the way you think you should be respected? No, she curses you because she says what you talk and what you do is not one, which is true. What it means is your influence is not even extending to the next. What to talk of Lokasangraha? It will only be converted into Lokasangraha provided the karmas are done in the manner that you are supposed to do. So that is why the one who is doing the karma for the samsiddhi, to exhaust the vasanas and not to create the new vasanas through phala apeksha, looks at the karma as purificatory exercise to be performed in the most perfect manner for the sake of the role that is assigned to me, without involving me as ego into it and the karma phala apeksha into it, so that you are able to see it in a neutral manner. Seeing it in a neutral manner without involvement of ahankara is called pashan, otherwise it is drashtum. To see and to see is different. In Angrezi, there is no word parallel to seeing. There's something called viewing. Seeing and viewing is different. I'm viewing a thing and I'm seeing a thing is different. When you see a thing, you are into it. When you view a thing, you are not into it. This viewing is something called pashan. Seeing is drashtva. This pashan then helps us to be away from the situation. When you are away from the situation, there is one you and another you who is performing the karma. Trayastha vritti, third party attitude. When we perform any karma with third party attitude, isolate ourselves away from that body who is performing the function, then you are able to direct that body to perform the way the karma should be performed. In other words, the one who is competent to view his mind as his servant is able to guide the mind as master. Unfortunately, our master is our mind, and we are the slaves. The horse is sitting in the chariot, and the sarathi is pulling the cart. This is our karman. With this kind of karman, then this karman which is described here in 20th shloka cannot be attained. So that is why you should be doing the karma by isolating yourself as a trayastha, so that you can employ viveka and vairagya before performing the karma, and then perform the karma in the role that is ascribed to you in the manner in which you do not create new asanas by having karma phala sannyasam or kartrutva bhoktrutva bhranti vinash. That depends upon the preparatory level of the person who is performing this. Then, hey Arjuna, there is nothing that you will feel like the way you are feeling now. How can I kill? How can I do? Or how can I? All these questions come to the mind where the mind has started controlling you. Once you start controlling the mind for a Sanyatendriya person, these questions do not come. Did the question come to me, Arjuna, when I told Jayadratha that the sun has not yet set? Did it come to my mind when I blessed Duryodhana also, and yet I told you that he is to be killed? It did not. And the reason why it did not is because I was not under the influence of gunas. And there is another important reason why we should be doing this karma the way we are doing. And the reason is you create an ideal out of you. The one who performs this karma in the prescribed manner of Bhagavad Gita, he excels in karma, he becomes karma yogi, and such a karma yogi is an ideal example for the masses to follow. Not only that, follow them, but they become inspiration for ages thereafter. The lonely warrior of Gogunda, Maharana Pratap. Mind well, sir, he never had an inch of land with him, which he could claim as himself. But he fought against an enemy who was controlling almost entire India. The situation today is millions more remember Rana Pratap than Samrat Akbar. The reason why Bajirao the First, the one who ruled from 1711 to 1722, the person who fought more than 50 battles and never lost one, controlled entire Aryavart. The Padshah of Delhi used to tremble in fear with the name of Bajirao. Yet, the person who is remembered is not Bajirao, even though the person owned 1/10 of the land of Bajirao, but he is still remembered for the valor is Chhatrapati Shivaji. Even today, he inspires. And it doesn't inspire even people like dumb people like us will anyway get inspired by Shivaji. A person of Swami Vivekananda's stature got inspired by Shivaji. Dava Druma Danda Par Chita Mrug Jhunda Par. This is the kind of kavyam that is made for like a tiger who goes on the onslaught on the deers. The great Shivaji went as an onslaught on the enemies of Hindutva. That's because the one who performs the karman, the way it is to be performed, then they become the ideals to follow. There are some who create the ideals, like Bhagavan Vasudeva, Bhagavan Shri Ram. Even today, we do not know which century Bhagavan Ram existed. We do not know precisely the place, the area, this. We do believe in Ramayana, but the fact is, hundreds of thousands of years have passed, but Bhagavan Ram is situated deep inside our hearts. Why this happened? This happened because Sreshtaha, a great man, they are called Sreshta. The Shreshtis are the people who are our ideals. So those who create ideals, Mahatma Gandhi, the man who never ever owned anything in this world except a chappal and 2 dhotis. Although his passbook was traced in 1941, which was closed in 1921, had 4 rupees, 4 rupees 2 annas on it as balance, which was never withdrawn. Yet he is remembered by everyone. And at the same time, a gentleman who existed during Gandhiji's time, who was the richest ever person of the earth, Rockefeller, is not remembered by many. The difference is the karman that they performed. One created an idol. The ideal was created out of the perfect execution of karma, while the other was Artharjani, the one who was chasing the money. That is precisely the reason why we ourselves do not remember our great grandfather. We don't even think of him because he has not done anything worth thinking. Gurudeva is not born in our family, but we feel he's one of us. He's still remembered, he shall be remembered, he will be remembered. Chandra, Surya, till the sun and the moon are existing, I shall say, even when they are not existing, Gurudeva will be remembered. Why? Because yad acharati shrestha tat tat itaraha janaha anuvartate. They follow. What are we doing in our Adhyatma sadhana? Are we not following what Gurudeva told us? It's a different story that we are not following in true sense, but at least what we are reading. Why are we not reading some other scriptures but Bhagavad Gita? Who told us? Gurudeva. Why do we read Upanishads? Gurudeva. Why do we say Guru Ashtakam? Acharya. Why do we try to remain clean? Mahatma Gandhi told us how to remain clean. We want to live as a very, very simple man and high thinking person of Lal Bahadur Shastri's nature taught us that. It is all the influence of these people. Mind well, if you know what your idol is, it will tell you what you will be. It's most unfortunate. We all know that our matinee idols during our young age were those stupid dancing eunuchs on the screen. We wanted to have hair like them. We wanted to dress like them. Why? Because he used this shirt in that movie or that cinema. Because they were the idols. What happened because of those idols? The idol also got wasted and we also got wasted. Now we have better idols in front of us. That's why it is said that tell me the songs that are there on the lips of the young people of any country and I'll tell you the fate of that country. Similarly, in Adhyatma, tell me the idols that they have, anybody has, and I shall tell you the future of that sadhaka. If the idol is Gurudeva, Vivekananda, Yatiraj, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Gauranga, Ramanuja, Shankaracharya, Vallabhacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Shivananda Swami, Tapovan Maharaj, one after the ideals, illuminating ideals. Maharaj, we are not born in America. Not being born in America is simply the result of punyam. If you are not punya pradadai, then you will not be born in India, but you might be born in Europe or America. The reason is the land is not full of those luminaries who can be followed. Why do you think most of the Western civilization is struggling? There are no ideals to follow. And the irony of India is millions of idols are there to follow, no one follows them. We are getting disillusioned or illusioned, whatever, by the idols coming from the West. Some moron wearing weird clothes and shouting from throat becomes our ideal singer as long as he's singing in English. But the Ghanapatha in Rigveda or Yajurveda, a Kanva Shakha Yajurveda part of a Gayatri Mantra, it does not create any interest in us because our ideals have changed. Since the ideals are changed, any society, nation, or the community doesn't have the ideals that are worth emulating, there is, as Gurudev says, there is definitely an end, a decadence of culture in life. That is what Gurudeva says. That is why it is not only imperative on our part to do our karman, but karman should be done with such an excellence that you, at least in your immediate vicinity, create an idol out of you. And the reason why we create idol is yad yad acharati shresthaha tat tat itaraha janaha anuvartante. Yat pramanam kurute. See, pramanam is very important. It is not only the overall prabhava or influence, it is the swabhava also that matters. To give you an example, Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence has reached through his mananam to such a great extent that once in Gujarat, when he was having his sabha, those days the lights were already there on the top of the head, on the pandal. Because of the sharp light, a lot of insects used to come. Bapu was sitting there for his speech, and the insects used to come and sometimes to his body because he was almost bare-bodied. The insects and the mosquitoes used to come and touch his body, and when it touches body, you feel like scratching or you feel like doing this so that the mosquitoes go away. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel noted that Bapu, while whisking away the mosquitoes and the insects, he was doing waving the hand so slowly. Why? Because the mosquitoes should not be hurt, the insects should not be hurt. Such a small incidence also is pramanam. Yat pramanam kurute. This is called pramana. There are many incidences in Gurudeva's life. There are many incidences even Vivekananda's life. That is why amongst the sadhanas of reading the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, reading biographies, again and again I'm telling, reading biographies is an eye-opener. All the Jivan Muktas, wherever you lay your hands upon, we must read them to understand why, because they are Shrestha and we want to know what is their Pramana. In the epistemology of philosophy, Shabda Pramana, entire Gemini Mimamsa is dependent on Shabda Pramana. Advaita believes a lot in Shabda Pramana. In fact, we are listening Bhashyas of Gurudeva and reading them because of what? Because of our belief in the words of Gurudeva, that is called Shabda Pramana. So Pramana of a Shrestha is an essential component of the growth of a sadhaka, and that being the case, it is not to be only read. We read Gandhiji right from our childhood. We had lesson on Gandhiji in our school days, but not one thing of Gandhiji we have imbibed in us. Gandhiji used to eat about 16 ounces of vegetables every day. He had a body weight of about 48, 49 kilos. His BMI never exceeded 19. What is the praman in that? That is how he kept his health always full of vigor and energy. Mind well, in Dandi March, Satyagraha, many young people could not keep pace with Bapu's walk. The 150 miles walk that he took, from where the energy came? From the Sanyatendriyata, from the regulation in diet, regulation in whatever it may be. In the entire Calcutta, this one-man boundary force, as Lord Mountbatten called him, one-man boundary force. There is a letter given of appreciation was sent by Lord Mountbatten to Bapu, in which he says, Bapu, I have my entire army fighting on Western Front to quell the riots. But I know there is one-man boundary force working in Bengal who has completely quelled the riots. Just by sheer fasting, he was able to control the animal passions of all the communities in Calcutta. And when it happened, when the entire Calcutta was absolutely silent without any mishap, without any bad incident, Mr. Suhrawardy, the Chief Minister of Bengal, requested Bapu that, Bapu, can we have the round of the city in the open jeep so that everybody can have your darshan? Bapu came. It was a matter of joy. People were thronging on the sides of the road, taking darshan of Mahatma Gandhi. But unfortunately, it was almost ticking closer towards 9 o'clock. Bapu always had a watch at his waist. He turned towards Suhrawardy and said, I must go to my sleep. Sohrawardi said, Bapu, this is 1 in a million day. People are there. The whole Calcutta is in joy now. From the atrocities that were perpetrated by other communities, we have come to peace. Let us enjoy this a bit. Let us go to other areas also. 1 odd day, if you break your rule, it doesn't matter. And Bapu said, no. At the height of reception given by, rousing reception given by the people, Bapu went to the bed always on dot time and got up at Brahma Muhurta. This is called Pramanam. When we read this, it is not only for reading. We read it, close the book, and again start snoring and get up at 7 o'clock. We are all Suryavamshis. That cannot be the case. Sadhana means Shrestha is to be followed. And then when you see a huge tree like Mahatma Gandhi or Gurudeva, at least we can be a small tree. But we should not be an absolute small grass blade. That is not what life is meant for. That is why the 2 shlokas are giving us enormous amount of inspiration to lead our life. This is why I always feel, and everybody has felt, that Gita Mata, even by 1 line, can transform anybody's life. An utter dacoit can become highly accomplished yogi, provided the words there in the shloka comes and hits you at the right spot, to which Kabir Maharaj called Shabda ki chot. Sabad sabad har koi kahe, sabad ke haath na pao. Ek sabad aushudh kare, ek sabad kare ghaav. This aushudha, the medicine, the word as a medicine, shabda as aushadha, is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So the gist of the 2 shlokas goes to tell us that 1, our karman has there for exhaustion of vasanas. Number 2, while exhausting the vasanas, we should not create new vasanas. Number 3, the key not to create the new vasanas is not to desire for the phalam. Number 4, while doing this karman, we will have the satisfaction of accomplishing the role that is assigned to us. At the same time, through my karman, I am able to create an ideal or a standard for the others to follow. Fifth conclusion that comes from the shloka is, whatever is given to me is the best thing that is given to me, most conducive, as Gurudeva says. So never to crib about the situation that you are in. दुख में सुमिरन सब करे, सुख में करे न कोय. सुख में सुमिरन करे तो दुख काहे को होय. Moment a good thing happens, God is forgotten, because now it is my son who stood first and I am the father and I distribute, and then the man says, you are so lucky, and I say, oh, it's like that. The God is never there in this conversation. Sir, all this happened because of the Lord. A moment somebody close dies and something happens and there is a loss of money and the share tumbles down, they say, God, where are you? I lost my money. You start crying. That time also the Lord is there, but Lord is telling you that, shh, don't cry. That is a result of your prarabdha karma. But did you take enough precautions? Yes, Lord, I did, but in spite of that, nothing good happened. I've been always reading Gita, Upanishad, doing puja, archana, helping everybody. Yet my daughter ran away with another boy and she did not even consult me while marriage. Don't worry. That is part of your prarabdha. Accept it. Let her go. That is the another conclusion coming from it. And then the 21st shloka's conclusion is, for anuvartante is our, Gurudev has given a statement which should not be forgotten at all. Man is essentially an imitating animal. That's it. No questions asked, because Gurudeva has said it. Imitating means I must imitate whom? I must imitate Shrestha. Shrestha, who are the Shrestha? Not those eunuchs dancing on the screen. No. Shrestha is who? Not the one who made so much of money. Tesla cannot be the Apple founder, the Microsoft founder. They are not Sreshta. Why? They are Sreshta in the secular field. And my ideal is not secular. I'm using my secular functionality for the sake of my religious harmony. So my Sreshtas are to be found on the religious side. A yogi is my Sreshta, and I will do anuvartanam of that. So I must know what the Sreshtis behaved, what did they do. So I must read about all the Sreshtis, read about everybody, all the 16 monastic disciples of Ramakrishna. We must read everybody's biography. Gurudeva's biography by as many people as you can. Incidences about Gurudeva, only keep reading about them. That reading itself is inspiring, and then you think about what is written there, and then you implement in your daily life. That is how these two shlokas alone can be our savior if taken into the right perspective. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om, we have another 2-3 minutes. Any questions? Or otherwise, we can move with Sukumarji for closing prayers and pledge.
Manish, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Sanjay ji, you said about Lok Sangraha mentioned by Lokmanya Tilak. I missed that. What has Lokmanya Tilak mentioned about Lok Sangraha? What was his...
The Lokasangraha...
Loud, please. Can't hear. Yeah.
Lokasangraha, as mentioned by Lokmanya Tilak, is more focused on the upliftment of masses, the work meant for masses. For example, here it is for protection of masses. As a Kshatriya, Lokmanya Tilak, being a social reformer, he took it in the sake that now that my body is only meant for the welfare of others. That is Lokasangraha according to Lokmanya Tilak. Tukaram Maharaj also uses this word in a little different way. He says, Tuka mane ata urlo upkara hota. Tukaram Maharaj says that I am now alive only for obliging others. That is also Lokasangraha. So Lokasangraha word is used in different connotations simply because of outlook. Because Lokmanya Tilak looked at Bhagavad Gita as karma yoga par excellence. A Jnani looks at Bhagavad Gita as Jnana par excellence. So for a Jnani, what is Lokasangraha? Giving the highest Vidya to everybody is Lokasangraha. For a Kshatriya, to protect the masses as per the duty, that is Lokasangraha. For a social reformer, to do the reform so that everybody gets uplifted, that is Lokasangraha. So the color and hue and tone of the Lokasangraha varies upon the role that is performed or role that is ascribed to that particular person. Hari Om.